Welcome into episode 3 of the world-famous Gaslighters podcast. I'm Rob Bro. Alongside Chois Woodman making his grand debut, the long-awaited debut for Chois Woodman. I think everyone's been asking, where is Chois? He knows what's going on. Clint and Rob, no idea. But now we have the expert in here. Thoughts on the basketball team so far?
I appreciate the intro, but none of it accurate. The basketball team so far, I have been thoroughly impressed. Usually when you have, we've seen Chris Beard was out in front of the whole transfer portal thing before there was a transfer portal. So we've seen this play out in Lubbock for a long time where you're getting a new team in almost every single season. And now everybody's doing it across the country. And what we see most of the time is it takes time to mesh together. So I've been thoroughly surprised, at least on the offensive side, how well this team has looked on the offensive side. That's been surprising to me. And part of it is the contrast to your style last year offensively. Last year you had two guys that primarily had the ball in their hands, and there just wasn't a lot of movement with Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint. Not a shot at those guys. It's just the style they played, and you went as those two guys went with their play. If they were playing well, you're going to be a good basketball team. If they weren't, if they couldn't hit shots, it was a struggle. So I really have enjoyed the first few games, albeit opponents are pretty thin to this point. But it's been nice to see the sharing of the basketball. It's been nice to see, like 60 assists, 70 assists through your first 4 games.
On pace for the record.
Yeah, I mean, and
the tech record.
Yeah, the tech record. And it's just, and obviously, shooting the basketball really well helps too. So I've really liked the group you've put out there through the first 4 games.
Yeah, and you've really not had the full complement yet.
No.
And look, Arkansas-Pine Bluff, 364 out of 366 on Ken Palm.
Sure.
And it was a bit of a struggle in the first half.
Yeah, wasn't pretty.
But you turned it on at the end of the first, got up by 20, on pace to cover. You did not. Did not get to 100. Let me ask you this, Choice. The last time Texas Tech opened the season with 3 consecutive, or more now, 80-point games was?
Because of the leading question, I'm going to say 2019.
Well, it was the last time you went to the Sweet 16.
Oh, okay.
So 21-22. It was very leading. And now you've done it 4 times.
Yeah.
Now you have St. Joe's and either Texas or Syracuse this weekend.
In Texas.
They did it 6 straight.
Uh-huh.
The 21-22 team.
Mm-hmm.
This offense is different, but looks more sustainable.
Yeah, I think
even though they shoot a bunch of threes?
Right, they do shoot a bunch of threes, but this doesn't feel like a BYU team of last year where you are truly living and dying by the three. I think that's what's comforting about the offense is that, you have the ability to shoot it, but you have inside-out ability as well. And the passing ability from your posts is very impressive, or from both Darian Williams and JT Toppin. If he gets doubled, then you're seeing a kick out. And it all starts with your point guard, too, with Elijah Hawkins and his facilitating of the offense. I think overall this is a very sustainable brand of basketball. We've got to see against real opponents. And I don't even know that your opponents this week are that great, to be honest. You've got some good basketball names in there. But I fully expect going into this week that you should be 2-0 in Brooklyn. Things happen. You fall short. Maybe you're underestimating things, or I'm underestimating things. But on paper, you should be the best of the 4 teams there.
All right, you mentioned you get through St. Joe's, or you lose to St. Joe's either way.
Yeah.
Well, let's say you get through them just for the sake of the argument. You want Texas on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Texas, Syracuse, both good basketball brand names. Syracuse, it'd be obviously kind of a home game for them up there. But I think ultimately what's better for your RPI or your net eventually will be Texas. And it's Texas. It draws blood. It draws, boils the blood, I should say. And I think it would be a lot of fun to, erase that bad taste in your mouth of last year and Brock Cunningham, trying to play football on the basketball court and and losing that game at home last year. So it wouldn't fully erase it, but it would, at least your most recent results, you'd get a chance to take them down.
What if I told you one of those teams was 25th in the Ken Palm and one was 100th?
I wouldn't be too surprised by it. Because Syracuse, I mean, they've played some. I guess St. Joe's lost to Central Connecticut State. Syracuse, they haven't looked that good. At least Texas has played someone in Ohio State.
What if I told you Syracuse was the 25th?
Is that right?
And Texas was 100th.
I did not check my Ken Palm before we got in here. Is that right?
That's what it was yesterday.
Really?
So
okay, you shocked me on that one.
I think.
Wow.
And we could double check here, but I think it's better currently to play Syracuse. But like you're saying, by the end of the year,
yeah, I think
that ACC schedule is what it is. The SEC schedule is what it is. I think you have an expectation that both will be quad one games.
What's your preference?
My preference is I like to play Texas.
Okay.
I like to play Texas.
I mean,
all those Tech fans going to Brooklyn want to see Texas.
That's what they want, yeah.
I think it's better for your basketball team to play Syracuse.
Okay.
Because
I had no idea that
you struggle with the zone a bit. Now, I know Boeheim's not there anymore, but I would assume they break that out a little bit just because it's Syracuse.
Well,
it's their brand.
At least you saw it this week with Pine Bluff.
Certainly.
Or a version.
A version. It wasn't
the Syracuse
Yeah, it wasn't the Syracuse zone. But I also, as you mentioned, a lot of Syracuse fans will be there. So I think it'll be a tougher environment.
Sure.
Texas still in the playoff hunt in football. I don't know how many basketball fans will travel to Brooklyn from Austin. So I think there'll be a good contingent of Tech fans. I think they're very excited for basketball season.
Yeah,
which
I think you're right. I mean, I know several people that are
traveling
for this game. It's always a New York trip that you skipped last year, but it's always a lot of fun. So I think this is a good opportunity for your team. But my expectation walking away from it is that you should be undefeated going into that Texas A&M game in early December.
I agree. And really, I think you should be undefeated in your non-con.
I do too.
Based on what we've seen.
I think Tech's a better team than A&M. We'll see. Don't want to get out in front of the skis too much, but I just think this is a quality basketball team in Texas Tech. And it's partially the personnel that gives me the confidence. It's also your coaching staff. I think Grant McCaslin has proved very quickly how good of a coach and staff you've got here at Texas Tech. And the resume of last year does a lot for that. You had a team that, and this is not a knock at any of the personnel there, but you had a team that was worthy of being about the 7th or 8th best team in the Big 12 last year, and you finished in a tie for 3rd place. That speaks volumes. And now you look at almost every position. I won't say across the board, but almost every position, and you've upgraded. You either have the same person that is a year older, or you have new guys that are better in those positions. And that's what gives me a lot of confidence and excitement that you can not just be a good team this year, but you can contend in a very tough Big 12.
And if they're not better, just straight-up athletes or basketball players, I do think this roster fits McCaslin much better and what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's not piecemealed together where he's having to just throw a bunch of – just get whoever he can get to say yes to him. And he said as much. It's like last year when he came in, he just had to get a bunch of guys that would say yes and say, I'm gonna come here just because of how short of a process it was and how late in the game you get him with the transfer portal and those sorts of things. So, I do think that this one he was able – and he said this in the offseason. He was able to tell people no. Like, you brought guys in on visits that it's like, oh, this seems like a good one. But it's like, you didn't land them.
Excuse me.
And we find out later that it may have been Texas Tech's decision more than those guys because you were looking for fit in the offseason. And this team, again, there seems to be a lot of chemistry there, and you usually don't see that through 3 or 4 games into the season.
And you go back to that 21-22 season, it was a really good start, and then there was a rough stretch.
There was. Yep.
And then you got really good.
Really hot, yeah.
And that was Bryson Williams struggling to adapt to Big 12 play early. Do you see any of that with this team with Toppin maybe? And I know we're looking way into the future here. We'll have 8 episodes before we get there. But, well, not 8 because Big 12
We got
play
20
starts.
games now.
Yeah, we let's say
20.
4 episodes maybe before we get to Big 12
I mean, we're
play.
starting Big 12 play on, is it
January 1st?
January 1 this year? Yeah.
So New Year's Day at
it won't be
UCF.
very long. Yeah, and we'll be right there.
So it's 5 or 6 episodes.
You know, my concern, I think Toppin will have to learn to adapt to Big 12 play. It'll get more physical, it'll get tougher. But I think because of his passing ability, you're going to still find success there. You're still going to find success with him. I think you've got a lot of guys that have played at this level on this roster. It's not. I think Kevin Overton's another one coming from Drake. That maybe the game will be a little faster for him, and he'll have to, cut down on some turnovers and maybe shot selection here and there. But early in Big 12 play, you may see a few hiccups, a few bumps in the road. But overall, with the leadership you have on this team, with guys like Chance McMillan, Kerwin Walton, and obviously Darion Williams, I think that the good mixture of newcomers and leaders on this team should help you kind of ease through that transition pretty well.
All right, I've got one weakness I think this team has. Do you have one?
It's kind of, you're kind of picking at things, but I think there's a couple of small things that I'm concerned at. They're not major concerns, but yeah.
I think mine is when the outside shot is not falling. Mm-hmm. Do you have a guard who can get to the rack like a Keenan Evans or maybe a Mac McClung, Jemias Ramsey, and just shoot free throws or make layups? Do you have that guy? Because Kevin Overton at times, Chance McMillan at times.
Yeah.
Walton is not that guy. And maybe it's Christian Anderson. Or maybe it's Elijah Hawkins, but we've not seen that from him in his career yet.
I think we saw a little bit this last game of Hawkins attacking, but it's not a finish thing. It's attack and kick.
And drive,
yeah. So I think I don't know that you have that. I don't know if that's the case. McMillan's gotten better at getting to the rim, but that's still not his game. Maybe it is an Anderson. Overton's probably your best candidate for it at the moment because I do like when he gets downhill. I do think that's a possibility, but no, I don't necessarily think that you have that guy solidified right now. But you also,
plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time. You didn't have that guy last year, and it did hurt you. I mean, Joe Toussaint had to be that at times, and the ball,
a
flipped.
few games he did well.
Yes.
Kansas State.
Yep, there were a few, but then there were others where
you walked to the win there.
You're not getting. Oh yeah, but then there's others when you're not getting the whistle, and Toussaint's kind of wild. So that's a concern. I think the concern for me has to do with the rebounding, and I think it's minimal at this point. But I think this is a team that it may take, and like a lot of young guys, it may take losing a basketball game because of rebounding before it really sets in. That, hey, yeah, you're 6'9", you can jump and get some rebounds, but there's going to be guys that are bigger than you and in the Big 12 that are going to go get them over you. You can survive it some against Wyoming and against Arkansas-Pine Bluff, but this team's going to have to body people to get some rebounds. It's a big team, but it's not a huge team.
All right, St. Joe's Thursday, and then either Texas or Syracuse Friday. We're at the buzzer here, Choice. Any final shots from you?
I think that this is where we've kind of learned about your team in the past. And these MTEs, multi-team events, you really get to learn your team in good or bad ways. So I'm excited to just kind of get away from home, learn about Texas Tech and where your flaws are. Whether that being a loss or a win, it's not the end of the world, obviously, because you're going to get RPI and playing in Big 12. So I'm hoping you can learn in wins. But I have high expectations for this team. Like you said, you got a real shot to be undefeated going into that A&M game and maybe beyond that into Big 12 play. And if that's the case, you're talking about a top 15 Texas Tech team at some point in this early season, and that'll get the juices flowing.
At least ranked, huh, you people? At least ranked. The number 9 team in the Ken Palm, not ranked.
Let's go.
Not that we're upset. Don't put in the newspaper we're upset about that. Yeah, and I think there's some piece of wisdom out there. I don't know that it's wisdom, but that you'd like to lose before you get into the stretch of your season to learn from it. No, you don't need to lose.
Keep winning, baby.
That's like an NFL team wanting to lose in the regular season to get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
No, just go undefeated.
I'm fine with
Yeah, you can learn a lot from being undefeated.
If Tech wants to go, 40-0,
Sure.
41-0 this season, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, just don't pull a Kentucky and lose in the Final Four.
Yeah, you know what? If you're losing in the Final Four this year, I can live with
You
that.
would take an undefeated season.
I think I would.
41 doesn't sound that bad.
Doesn't sound too bad.
It doesn't sound.
You know
that
what?
bad.
If you're,
you wouldn't do that. You just go undefeated and can lose in the Final Four.
I will take losing in the Final Four if you're going to hand that to me in any fashion right
That's
now.
a Big 12 championship.
I think I'm going to take that. Yeah.
Undefeated in the yeah, that sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty
You know what?
Like a good year.
All right, I think that's a good ender. You got to touch the basketball. All right, ready to break?
Patrick Ewing's powers.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I was gripping it early. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Nice.
See?